In this video, we're going to be focusing on credit card debt. And credit card debt is a little bit unique because the reality is there's no fixed time period I have to pay off my loan in. The interest rates could change month to month, and typically they have like a minimum amount I have to pay every month. So when we look at credit cards, often what we're going to be focusing on is if we are trying to pay off our credit card debt. So for all of our credit card problems, we're going to assume that the credit card balance is not growing, because I know in reality it could. But let's say you've made the decision that I'm going to pay off my credit card debt, so I want no more debt. That's the types of problems we're going to be focusing on. And so then we're looking at things that we need to consider. So things we need to consider is, how long do I want to be paying this credit card off for? How much can I afford? Can I afford more than the minimum payment? The minimum payment varies month to month depending on how much you owe. It's typically a percentage of your balance that they ask for as your minimum payment. And so, it's looking at all these different factors and then thinking about how much money am I going to save if I can pay it off certain ways. And keeping in mind that credit card interest rates are huge when you don't pay off every month. And so the longer that debt sits there, the more money you're going to be owing. All right, so we're going to take a look at this first example. We have a credit card balance of $2,500, and we're assuming we slice the card up and can spend no more money on it. And we have a 21% APR. We're going to make regular monthly payments. So we're going to look at 3 different situations in which we think about those monthly payments and how much interest we'd owe and how much we'd end up having to sort of pay with it. So to do these problems, we're going to go back to that time value money calculator. In scenario A, we're given a fixed time. I want to pay off that debt in 5 years. I want to be done with it. I don't want to worry about it 5 years later. So I want to come up with my monthly payment, and then from that monthly payment, figure out how much interest I paid and the percentage of the total loan. So let's fill in what we know. Well, we're going for 5 years and 12 payments a year because we're paying monthly. And our APR is 21%. Now, the present value, that's, remember, your loan amount. And so in this case, that's the $2,500. I want my debt to go down to 0, and I am going to pay 12 times a year. And now, the part that I don't know is the payment. That's what I'm solving for. So if I go over to my TVM solver really quick, I have everything already punched in. I just need to solve for the payment. And so I end up with a monthly payment of $67.63. Okay. Maybe I'm like, I can do that. Okay. How much interest would I owe? So that's step 2. So now we want to figure out our interest payment. So to get interest, remember, it's your payment amount times the number of payments you made, which was 60, minus the amount the loan was for. So how much on top of the loan did you take out? Well, you actually paid $4,000. That this comes out to right here, $4,057.80. And so our interest ended up being around $1,557.80 in interest. So almost, about $1,000 less than what the loan was for. So then what percentage of the total paid was interest payments? So that's sort of the third piece that this problem was asking for. And so to get that percent, remember, you're going to take your interest amount and we're going to divide it by that total paid amount. And then I'm going to times that by 100 to turn it into a percent. And I would find out that I actually spent or 38.4% on interest. So higher than the APR on interest, credit card debt wants you to pay money. Now, what's going to happen if we decide to try and shorten the time period? So what if we try to, instead of in 5 years, pay it off in 4 years? Okay, so basically I would go through and I'd do the same thing, except I would say 4 times 12 in my number column. I'd still have 21. This would still be for $2,500. I'd still want my payment 0, 12. Everything else stays the same. What's changed is this sort of top value. And what does that do to my monthly payment? That's always the question. So if I go back over to my time value money calculator, let's change out this to 4 times 12. And then if I go over to payments, let's solve for our new payment. And notice our payment's a little higher. Just like with our 14-year or 15-year mortgage, for 4 years, our payment would be $77.41. But that's not where we're really saving the money, because remember, yes, our payment is a little higher, but I'm paying fewer times. So if I went through and did the whole process of finding my interest, I would find that I actually only paid $1,215 in interest this time. So I'm paying about $200, dollars less. I'm paying, over $200 less in interest total for paying off this debt a year early. So if I could afford that extra money each month, I'm gonna be saving money in the long run. So you could guess that, if I could do this in 3 years, and I'm not gonna write out the formulas, but you could practice doing this. But if I could do this in 3 years, my monthly payment would go up to $94.19. But my interest that I now paid is down to only $890.84. So notice, wow, I am paying the bank so much less money now for this credit card because I could afford to pay more off each month, and I could do it in a quicker amount of time. Something to consider. So, when I'm dealing with that credit card debt, the more I can afford, the better it is for me in the long run, but maybe I can't afford it. So anything's better than nothing, than just letting the interest accumulate. Now let's look at scenario C. So scenario C is saying, all right, that's wonderful, but I only have $75 a month. I want to put it all towards this credit card debt. How long is it going to take me to get out of debt? And then how much interest did I pay, and what percentage was that? So the N is my unknown. I need to figure out how long it's going to take. I still have my 21. I still want to pay, off my full debt. I now know my payment, and remember, my payment's going to be negative because my money out of pocket, and I want my loan to be 0, and I'm going to pay 12 times a year. So for this one, we're going to go back over to our time money calculator. We're going to clear out our things that we don't know. So we're going to actually only have $75 to put forward for our payment. And then I want to solve for N. So I'm going to hit solve for N. And I'm told in 50.46 months, I can pay off my debt. Okay, so that's a little over 4 years. So it's between 4 and 5 years. Now, to figure out my interest payments, remember, interest is going to be, your total paid. So that's 75 times the 50.46 minus the amount the loan was for. Switch over to full screen so you can see it better. And that would get me my interest of about $1,284.50. And last but not least, I want to figure out what percent I paid in interest. So that would be my interest payment over the total amount I paid. And so that's going to be whatever 75 times the 50.46 is. And yes, I don't round there. I keep it because the last payment's going to be a fraction of a payment, and that's okay. And so I ended up paying about 33.94. That point doesn't want to show up. Percent was my loan was interest. And notice, yes, it's less, than what I paid if I had to wait out the full 4 years. But technically it would be more than if I did the same thing for my scenario B. So the goal of this was to sort of show you, okay, I have control here, and if I'm thinking about tackling my credit card debt, these are things I want to consider, and I can sort of use this time value money calculator to get a sort of general sense of what could I afford, what would that do, how much money would I end up owing, and those sorts of questions.